Now, I'd like to go back to the point that you made that the Harlem that you knew when you were growing up is not the Harlem now, and see if we can relate this also even to the school.
Let's see if we can. It was probably very important for me. I haven't thought about this for a long time, so it was probably very important for me that at the point I was going to PS24, the only Negro school principal, as far as I know, in the entire history of New York, was the principal. It was a woman named Mrs. Ayer. And she liked me. And in a way, I guess she proved to me that I could, that I didn't have to be entirely defined by my circumstances. Because you know that every Negro child knows what his circumstances are, though he can't articulate them, because he's born into a republic which assures him, in as many ways as it knows how, and has got great force, that he has a certain place and he can never rise above it. And what has happened in Harlem since is that generation has passed away.
Mrs. Ayer was a sort of a model, in a sense.
She was a proof. She was a living proof that I was not necessarily what the country said I was.
And it is significant, Jim, that we do not have a single Negro principal in the New York public school system today.
And it is not because there ain't nobody around who can do it, you know. One's involved in a very curious and a very serious battle, concerning which I think the time is going to be as explicit as one knows, as one can possibly be. The great victims in this country of the institution called segregation, which is not a Southern custom, but which has been for 100 years a national way of life. The great victims are the white people, the white man's children. Well, Lorraine Hansberry said this afternoon, we were talking about the problem of being a Negro male in this society. Lorraine said that she wasn't too concerned, really, about Negro manhood, since they had managed to do and to endure and to even transcend some fantastic things. But she was very worried about a civilization which could produce those 5 policemen standing on the Negro woman's neck in Birmingham, or wherever it was. And I am too. I'm terrified at the moral apathy, the death of the heart, which is happening in my country. These people have deluded themselves for so long that they really don't think I'm human. I base this on their conduct, not on what they say. And this means that they have become, in themselves, moral monsters.
Well, Jim, I can see...
It's a terrible indictment.
Yes.
And I mean every word I say.
Well, we are confronted with the racial confrontation in America today. I think the pictures of dogs in the hands of human beings attacking other human beings.
In a free country.
In a free country.
In the middle of the 20th century.
This Birmingham is clearly not restricted to Birmingham, as you so eloquently pointed out. What do you think can be done to change, to use your term, the moral fiber of America?
I think that one has got to find some way of putting the present administration of this country on the spot. One has got to force somehow from Washington a moral commitment, not to the Negro people, but to the life of this country. It doesn't matter any longer, and I'm speaking for myself, for Jimmy Baldwin, and I think I'm speaking for a great many other Negroes too. It doesn't matter any longer what you do to me. You can put me in jail, you can kill me, but by the time I was 17, you were done. everything that you could do to me. The problem now is, how are you going to save yourselves? It was a great shock to me. I want to say this on the air. The Attorney General did not know.
You mean the Attorney General of the United States?
Mr. Robert Kennedy. Didn't know that I would have trouble convincing my nephew to go to Cuba, for example, to liberate the Cubans in defense of a government which now says it is doing everything it can do, which cannot liberate me. Now, there are 20 million people in this country, and you can't put them all in jail. And I know how my nephew feels. I know how I feel. I know how the cats in the barbershop feel. A boy last week who was 16 in San Francisco told me on television, thank God we got him to talk, maybe somebody will start to listen. He said, I got no country, I've got no flag. Now he's only 16 years old. And I couldn't say you do. I don't have any evidence to prove that he does. They were tearing down his house because San Francisco is engaging, as most northern cities now are engaged, in something called urban renewal, which means moving the Negroes out. It means Negro removal. That is what it means. And the federal government is an accomplice to this fact. Now we're talking about human beings. There's not such a thing as a monolithic wall or some abstraction called the Negro problem. These are Negro boys and girls who at 16 and 17 don't believe the country means anything that it says and don't feel they have any place here on the basis of the performance of the entire country.